10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. This is episode 549. You heard that right? 549. That means we are one episode away from 550. Guys, tonight we have a very special guest. We have Mr. PITBULL, Pitt Freeman. Now, guys, stay tuned for that. And coming on is the co-host, yours truly, Mr. Luke Roberts. How you doing?
Hey, it's always an honor and a privilege to be here. Like I said, it's been a while. I've been traveling all around the continental United States, spent some time up in the greater Seattle area. Had an opportunity to spend some time last month out in Denver. Got to experience the Denver Athletic Club. Had a great time there. And now, like I said, we've got the Hall of Fame is officially in the books. 8 new inductees into the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Want to give a couple of shout-outs here before we get too much farther along. Want to give a shout-out to a friend, the longtime friend of the show, the one, the only Patrick Brandmeier, who is officially named the historian for the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, as well as our legal counsel, Dan Alexander, and Nikki O'Shaughnessy, who has been on the program here before as well. Has moved up. She is now the Assistant Executive Director of the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame as well. One last shout out to, want to give a shout out to a longtime member of the Wrestle Talk Podcast family, former many-time co-host here of the program, the one, the only, the maestro Jeremy Karp, getting married since our last episode here on the program. Had the opportunity to be at the wedding and the reception. Want to give a shout-out to the maestro and his wonderful wife as they exchanged nuptials and are now Mr. and Mrs. Jeremy Karp. And I got to tell you, I mean, it's really been a whirlwind last few weeks. And one last thing, too, before we get things started, and we're going to talk a little more about this as we go on throughout tonight's program. Again, we got Pitt Freeman on the program here in hour number 2. Also want to give a shout-out. Many people may or may not know. Want to give a shout-out and extend our thoughts and condolences to Big Hoss and BAAD, the one and only Susie Haas, having a recent death in their family, the death of their father. Again, I don't pry into people's personal business, but again, want to give them a shout out that we're thinking of them right now. I know it's been very, very trying time for them as well as they're having to deal with this unfortunate passing. Ace, do you have any thoughts before we move on?
No. Also, speaking of loss, we had Damon Mills. His mother-in-law had passed, so we obviously keep that family in prayer along with the Hall's family. And they're not only just dear to us over in the FWC, but right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, they're a huge part of it. And you become like family. And we've obviously we don't know what it's like to be in their shoes. I mean, some of us do, some of us don't. But right now they're just struggling, so just pray with them and just keep in your prayers. But we do have some updates on FWWC that'll come later on. And I believe we have, no, Dewan's not going to be on. I thought our guest was going to come on, but he'll be on later on. But no, that's about it to start the show. You want to jump on into some sponsors real quick, as always.
Most definitely, Ace. Most definitely. The Wrestle Talk Podcast would like to thank all the great sponsors of the program: Retro Zone, Painter's Dream Productions, the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, Doomed Outfitters, World and Domination Wrestling Alliance, and of course, the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. And as you said earlier on, Ace, we're going to be talking about the FWWC later on in the program tonight, right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Summerstone is in the book. We'll be talking about a lot of pro wrestling. As many people know, SummerSlam, by the same token, was in the books. A lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling. And I'm going to tell you, we got a lot to talk about here tonight on the program. But you know something, Ace? I want to, before we get too much farther along, I mean, again, it's been a busy summer. We got a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that are going to be coming up here in the next few weeks. But one of the things that we do, and this is going to be kind of a first for the Wrestle Talk podcast, because we're going to work together here to take care of this little piece of Wrestle Talk podcast business, as we always do each and every time we come on the airwaves. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we ask that you please remove your hats, place your hands over your hearts. And as we do each and every episode here, the Wrestle Talk podcast, we pay homage to the greatest country in the world, and Ace,
America, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as Nightmare Jones always says, brings a tear to your eye every time. I know for a fact there's probably going to be several people who are going to be posting about how they wish that they could, wish we could go back to the days of having the Carl Lewis national anthem here on the program. But again, one of the things we always do is we pay homage to the greatest country in the world. We also want to give a shout out to all of our men and women who are in law enforcement, fire, EMS, those that are defending our country across this planet. We want to thank you for everything you do to make sure that our country is safe and secure, and that we can have the opportunity to do the things that we wish we could do each and every week right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. And Ace, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm really looking forward to tonight's guest. I mean, again, we're going to be talking to Pitt Freeman in hour number 2, but there's a lot of things that people don't necessarily know about Pitt, and I'm really looking forward to the interview as we come up tonight. But you know something, we've got to go from the beginning, and I know we're going to go to high spots here in just a second. But as the case is, SummerSlam is in the books, and if you have any comments or anything like that you want to put in the chat, hashtag WTP, hashtag Let's Talk Wrestling, hashtag Wrestle Talk Podcast. Please make sure to share your thoughts, your comments, all your information as it relates to the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Again, 2 nights of great professional wrestling action. As we see here, AJ chiming in as he always does. Again, a big shout out to AJ. Right here it says, we got to talk about Dory Funk. And we're actually going to talk about, for those that aren't aware, Dory Funk passing away today. We're going to have more to talk about the legacy of Dory Funk later on in the program. I know that Ace and I have really been working hard pretty much all afternoon, making sure that we can get all the information to give our viewership the complete knowledge base for those that aren't familiar with Dory Funk Jr. and his contributions to the world of professional wrestling. We're going to be talking about Dory Funk Jr. later in the show as well tonight. You know something, Ace? We got a lot to talk about with SummerSlam being in the books. So let's go ahead and get to the high spot segment. And of course, you can't go to high spots without the one, the only DJ Money.
Oh, yeah.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like clear chops. We dog shop, coming through the screens of a laptop. And non-stop like a running speakers of blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops. Like a clock flash, look like a belly flop. Now that's hard. We up to speed while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast, now they know. We about to start the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Money bringing us in on the high spot segment here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
You kind of want to get lost in that right there. You know, you just want to headbang and get into it. Some of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s, I mean, we know about the headbanging, but same time, my back is not going to allow me, so I got to stay still, and it's hard. It's almost like them videos you watch online where you got to watch or listen to the music and without reacting. That's an example.
Well, you know something too, Ace, and again, I want to give a shout out to DJ Money, and again, also make it a point to check out Bryant Hill on Bryant Hill for those that are out on social media as well. DJ Money with a lot of different business ventures. He's got a I don't want to say a healthcare line, but more of a personal care line that's out available. They've done work in the past with the likes of Diamond Dallas Page, the big LG himself, Luke Gallows, among others. Make it a point on Bryant Hill. Go check them out online. They got a lot of great merchandise. I tell you right now, a lot of people swear by their beard care products. As you can tell, I really don't need that. I mean, that's one of those where, and again, considering Ace, you being in the neighborhood, you may very well want to take a journey out there and check out all the great folks at Bryant Hill. I mean, again, being in your part of the country, again, a great company, and again, loyal family members of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. You know something? SummerSlam's in the books. We got a lot of things to talk about, so let's go ahead and hit that randomizer and talk about our first high spots topic tonight.
All right, let's find it here.
All right, it says here on the screen, numbers tell a different story than rumors. Is the WWE failing or succeeding? This is really kind of a great perspective question here to start out. Ace, I want to get your thoughts here first, because this is kind of a it's a good question to start off high spots tonight, but it's a very and some people's it's kind of hard to discuss.
So, and I'll add to this one because you got to ask where internet fans and obviously the internet. So if you read online and you go on there, and especially Facebook or anywhere that talks about wrestling, they make it out, and everybody's going to have their opinions. They act like the WWE's failing. They act like they're losing money. You see 10,000 posts about Triple H getting fired and TKO cutting them loose. They're parting ways. And half the time, you got to take common sense and just do away with all the rumors. And common sense goes with the numbers. And obviously, let's pull that back up. I mean, let's see. You got TKO reported a revenue of $1.547 billion. In 2006, WWE brought $620.9 million. So they're increasing profit. They're doing good. If they were a failing business, they would not be overseas expanding into all these other countries. They would not be selling out shows. And a lot of people, you see it on every single show, and I cannot stand it. And I almost hate even looking online before every pay-per-view, because every time they're like, oh, well, they have so many empty seats. They're the fans are turning on them. They're doing this. No, they're not. They're really not. And sometimes you just got to, you want to take the internet fans and just shake them and tell them to shut up and just watch the show. I mean, it's annoying because the numbers say something different. The fans that are selling out these arenas are saying something different. And the past couple of nights, especially SummerSlam, the first night was hit and miss. the second night was like explosive. Last night on Raw was explosive. I mean, they've been on a roll here lately with a lot of the stuff they're doing. And as far as business wise, they are expanding in ways that are just, it's going to keep bringing business from not just here, but all over the world. And I don't think they're failing. I think they're going to be something that's going to continue on until my grandkids and great grandkids. And I mean, they're going to be a business that's going to be around for a long time. To whereas other companies, I mean, you got to question whether or not they really are. I mean, like I said, numbers don't lie. And WWE right now is leading, and they're going to continue to lead. So I don't think they're failing whatsoever.
Well, Ace, I want you to go ahead here. And again, I'm a numbers guy. You know that very well. We're talking about episode 549 here of the Wrestle Talk podcast. I think it's only like the fourth or fifth time I've said that since we've gone live tonight. But let's go ahead and pull up those numbers again here for just a second. I want to look at this here. The number that we have here is, well, you say $1.4 billion in quarter two. Am I correct with that?
1.547 billion. And that's just in 2026 second quarter earnings. And the WWE brought in 620.9 million. That is a 12% increase from the same period last year.
Okay, well, here's the thing to look at. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, TKO, they're worried about what the WWE is doing." Here's a thought to kind of throw out there: what all is under the TKO banner? You've got UFC. You've got the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they're getting ready to launch their own actual boxing promotion.
Yep.
And they have the professional bull riding tour and organization.
I've actually watched it. It's fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at it from a perspective, you got all those things under your heading, and your company is bringing in $600 million of that in a 3-month span. And that's also considering the fact as well, in the idea that that's WrestleMania season. If you think about it that way, during the WrestleMania season in second quarter of 26, to bring in $600 million, and that's profit. That's not, that's an outstanding number. And again, I agree with you. Every time I turn on a social media, it's almost to a point where, to be honest with you, I'm the same boat. I'm starting to turn off feeds left and right and things like that when I hear all these things that are going on. But you know something? The WWE is staying consistent. And they're now getting to a point that they're starting to get some new people into some new places. They're trying to get try to kind of see where things are. I mean, and like you said, night one, to each their own. But again, when you go out there and you see the likes of Solo Sikoa rewinding it, that was one that kind of definitely piqued my curiosity. And as we're going to see going forward, I mean, there's a lot of big things that are going to be taking place as a result of SummerSlam. And I know, we've got Money in the Bank, we got a few other things going along, but on their process of moving to the idea of moving on to the Survivor Series, one of the big four, as they always call it, I think the WWE right now really doesn't have that much to worry about other than keep doing what they're doing. And it's like you said, how many promotions can go out there? I mean, again, they've got Evolved under their banner. They got NXT. They got the WWE. They've got AAA under their banner. I mean, they're
still working with TNA. Yeah.
They've still got that TNA agreement. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, the only one that rivals them is Tony Khan. And Tony Khan, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but it's like what the WWE has. AEW is kind of following suit. And again, there's still a lot of different avenues to go with in the world of pro wrestling. Also, another shout out that I want to give here real quick, and I know we talked about it in the pre-show production meeting, want to give a shout out to Colton Vaught, Must See TV, and to Cody Lane, among others. Those were here in the greater St. Louis area. They were a part of the WWE tryout this past weekend at SummerSlam. I do know that there were several others that were involved. I believe J-Rod who a lot of people know from OVW and from JCW. I had the opportunity for a tryout as well. There were a lot of great wrestlers that were there, and I got to tell you, if your promo makes internet broadcast like Vots did, you had to do something to pique people's curiosity. And like I said, I haven't heard anything. I mean, again, a lot of times they keep that very under wraps until they know what's going on. But like I said, from what I've heard from people, all the competitors will. But I want to give a shout out to all of our representatives from the greater St. Louis, the bi-state area, taking part in the SummerSlam experience and the tryouts. And hopefully down the road, we might be able to have one of them on to talk about the tryout experience. But one thing we are going to experience is another High Spots question. So let's go ahead and hit that randomizer and see what's next on the program here tonight. Have we seen the last of Brock Lesnar?
Ooh, you know, hey, let me get back here real quick. And y'all forgive me, my computer is a little weird. I'm not finding some of the banners like normally, but anyway. So have we seen the last of Brock Lesnar? I'll pull that back up in case people missed it. Oh, man. Actually, we have. As of today, he made it official. He went on an interview, and I forgot what show it was on. He officially announced his retirement earlier today. So, yes, as of now, as of this morning, we've seen the last of Brock Lesnar. Was that the best way to go out? I believe he wanted to go out at WrestleMania. I believe that's what he wanted to do. But I think that I'm not sure. There were so many rumors. Once again, you can't really go off what you hear on the internet. From my understanding, he wanted to go out in his hometown. He didn't want that match with Oba being, you know, like just a one-off deal. He wanted the series or something. So I don't know. There's so many stories with that. But I believe he went out the right way. And how he did it, passing the torch, the match that he put on, everything he done, I think that was the right move. I really do. I commend him. He's probably go down as one of the greatest fighters, greatest athletes, greatest wrestlers. I mean, the man had it all. He was complete. He was the total package, you know, not to rip off from, you know, Lex Luger there, but Brock Lesnar had it all. So I believe that he'll go down as one of the greatest, and I think this was the right time, the right move to make. And as of this morning, it's official. We've seen the last of him.
Well, you know something, Ace, and I want to throw this one out here, and I'm going to kind of go ahead and kind of go on a little tangent here to Raw last night. You saw Obafemi making, I dare say, peace with Paul Heyman. Then you see Braun Breaker taking exception to it. But as far as seeing the last of him in ring, I have to agree with you. The only thing is, and I agree, the idea, I've been always taught from years and years and years, pulling the curtain back. Yeah, you can say it right now. It's 7:15 on episode 549, and Luke's pulling the curtain back here. I was always taught that when you were in your last matchup, you don't get the W. You don't go out there and do that. And I mean, the one thing though, it kind of bums me out about the whole deal, and I'm just going to call a spade here. I think that Brock Lesnar, while, I mean, again, it was a big to-do, and again, being in your home, basically you're more or less your hometown, but you got to look at it this way. Look at the reaction that Chad Gable got. Look at the reaction that Tiffany Stratton got, both very close to Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's almost like, with having three people, it's almost like and I know that I believe it was night one was the main event. Mm-hmm. It's almost the only place to give him his flowers, because you had Tiffy time and you had Chad Gable in night two.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way in reality that you're going to get away with giving him his just due by having it. But the thing is, too, and I always look at it this way, and The Undertaker did it, and a few others, you always leave your boots in the ring. You always leave your boots and say, I'm not. And I know he left his glove. I know he raised Oba's hand. But something in my head prior to today says we're going to see him. And I don't think we're not going to see him, because I agree with you. I very much think that in the foreseeable future, there's going to be a knock on the door for the Hall of Fame. You can't discredit the man. NCAA champion, UFC champion, WWE champion. He was that close from being a part of the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, there's nothing that the man can't do athletically. And again, seeing him going into the Hall of Fame is definitely going to be something that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Now then, as we got this going on here, let's go ahead and move on to the next High Spots question here on episode 549. Chad Gable finally wins the gold. Did WWE wait too long to do this? Ace, I'm going to go with you on this one because I want to see your thoughts.
Absolutely. They waited too long. I believe that, look, and we all know it. Any of us that's actually been in the ring, and any of us that had a career with it and stuff like that or tried to get into it, there's a time where you're just too old. I mean, let's be honest. You're too old. And for them to have just now, and he's not a young man anymore. Chad Gable's like, what, maybe in his mid-30s? He's getting to the point where eventually within the next couple of years, his I'm not saying his better years are behind him, but his youth is behind him. So are we able to see the kind of matches he put on when he was younger? Are we able to see the kind of fire he put on when he was younger? Hit and miss. It all depends on the conditioning. If he can, avoid getting hurt, which we all know. He just come back from a major surgery. He come back from a major injury. That means that he's probably going to slow down a little bit. And I'm not saying that his matches have slowed down or will, but let's be honest, man. They just now put a singles title on him after all these years. And this man, all the work they put on him, everything he done. He was, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, he come in back when Kurt Angle was still in WWE, wasn't he? Kind of around at the same time.
I think so.
So he was there for a very long time, and he's been there for all these years, and they just put a title on him. Like, come on, man, what a joke. I mean, it's like, and it is what it is. I get it. There's, all this politics behind the stage. There's everything that leads up to it. But why wait until this man's almost in his 40s, fixing to wind down his career to put a singles title on him? By now, this man should have been a multiple time. He should have mirrored Kurt Angle. And if anybody could have, it could have been Kurt Angle. This man right now is a believable contender for any title that you put in front of him. And by now, he should have already been a multiple-time world champion. That's just my opinion. And I believe they waited too long. I really do. And if they turn around and give him some little short title reign just to turn around and not do anything else with him, then they have completely wasted his career. So that's up to them to take the momentum they have now, which we know WWE likes with that, and make something better. If he loses the Intercontinental title, I mean, put him right up in the mix for, the heavyweight title right afterwards. So I don't know. Right now is the best time for a major title, not just some mid-card stuff.
Well, Ace, I'm going to tell you, for once, I'm going to disagree with you. And here's why. It seems like Chad Gable, for the longest time, got put into situations that would very much benefit him. And it was like as soon as things started getting good movement, things changed, as the world of professional wrestling always does. The first thing you put him with Jason Jordan as American Alpha. I got to tell you right now, American Alpha and the Revival made tag team wrestling relevant again in the WWE. That is a blanket statement there.
Yeah.
Without those two teams, tag team wrestling in the WWE is just kind of blah. Then Jason Jordan gets hurt. Can't blame him for that. So now we've done all this work to try to justify him being a tag team wrestler. Then it happens that they wind up his next major to do is putting him with Otis. And again, I got to say, I loved that time in his career when you had Chad Gable and Otis as the Alpha Academy.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I think they played off each other very well. Matter of fact, I got a chance to watched an interview with those two of them promoting SummerSlam, and I was just losing it. It was hilarious how well, even though it's not on television, how much they could play off each other just so well. It's just like nothing had changed. And then the shoulder injury, and you give him the chance, that trial by fire, if you will. The feud with El Grande Americano, that match right there, I'm going to tell you right now, if there's anybody in the WWE who has delivered big matches consistently in 2026, it is Chad Gable. You say that he should already have multiple reigns now. I don't think so. To me, I think Chad Gable is hitting his prime. I think Chad Gable is going to be one of those where, before it's said and done, will he be a multi-time champion? Yes. I think it would be a great, to quote the late Gorilla Monsoon, it would be a miscarriage of justice if Chad Gable does not have at least 3 or 4 reigns.
Oh, yeah. With
a heavyweight championship in either the Undisputed Championship or the Universal title. He deserves that opportunity, and we saw it. We saw it with AAA. We saw it at SummerSlam with Penta. And I'm going to tell you right now, Chad Gable is probably, if anybody would say, I would say, if you were going to I'm not going to go for an MVP. I'm going to say, if you want to look for, in my opinion, the wrestler of the year in 2026 when it comes to WWE and all the different avenues, I think Chad Gable has to be a strong consideration for that recognition, because he is just, again, to steal a line from another executive, he's just that good.
Oh yeah, and I gotta not really backtrack, but and something you said kind of made me think about it. And the age thing, I was playing off the age deal about getting a major push, and I forgot about Diamond Dallas Page. Diamond Dallas Page was already kind of an older man. He was up in his 40s before he got the world title. He didn't have singles titles. He didn't win the US. He didn't win any of that stuff. And he went straight on and won the world title. So is it too late for Chad Gable? No, I personally feel they should have done this way before. I believe that, for me, I believe he could have done something with it way back in a time when, let's be honest, there was a time frame there where the title just kind of faltered and really wasn't on anybody irrelevant. And I believe that Chad Gable could have stepped in during that time frame and been a great Intercontinental Champion during that time, and filled that gap in between the major title runs with some of these bigger stars. So I believe that he should have already had it. I really do.
Well, like I said, that's one thing I really want to see from the viewers that are watching in tonight. What are your thoughts on this question? Should Chad Gable have received the championship? Were they too late? Were they just right? Were they too early? And I've had a few people say that it's a little too early in his singles career in order to be able to give him such a major title. Like I said, make it a point to share what you think on the in the chat here tonight. Also, make sure to share us with your friends and family. Like I said, we got Pitt Freeman coming up in hour number 2. Ace, I know there's a lot of stuff here. We got some other questions as well in the randomizer. It's not just all SummerSlam. We got a lot of.
All right, so let's hit that randomizer here. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey. Random.
All right. It says, where would you like to see Jody Threat end up? I'm first off going to kind of, as you said earlier on, Ace, I'm going to go ahead and kind of take a little bit of a tangent here. TNA dropped the ball with Jody Threat. It is that simple. Yep. I think that Jody Threat has a wealth of potential. I think she has a wealth of ability. And the problem is, though, now is, where is she going to go? Because there's a lot of promotions that fall. And again, it goes back to that giant conglomerate. No intention there as it relates to AEW. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, if she's not being used in TNA, then that basically, in the eyes of some, is going to cut her off from Evolve, from NXT, from WWE, from AAA. It's going to cut those avenues out for a good deal of time. Yeah. By the same token, there's outside of really an AEW, and right now, to me, AEW has a good amount of women's competitors already on the roster. I mean, we're already going to have, you've got Tekla, you've got Julia Hart, you've got Sky Blue, you've got Willow Nightingale. We got the matchup coming up at All In. Willow Nightingale taking on Mercedes Moné. You have Alex Windsor. You have Jamie Hayter. There's a wide Persephone. You have Red Velvet. You have Athena. I mean, you've got so many women in that roster that it's going to be hard for fans to really get that true showcase of what's there. I'm just going to say it right now. To me, I think that Jody Threat would be best served right now in the short term to look at some of the promotions like in Europe and in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
And then hopefully in a few months' time, maybe the water will be a little bit clearer for her to jump to the AEW picture. Again, I think it's one of those where the biggest thing of the whole thing is Jody Threat's going to be successful. He goes. But when it comes down to it, did TNA drop the ball? 2 thumbs down. They dropped the ball big time.
Big time.
Jody Threat.
Yeah, I agree, actually. They dropped the ball. I believe she was a great talent. They could have done better. I would like to see her actually over in NWA. NWA is getting a lot of steam here lately. They're picking up. Oh God, I had it right here at the tip of my head just a minute ago. But anyway, they're doing great, and they're expanding. I would like to see NWA get back to what it was back then in the 80s and 90s. So I think that would be the best move for her. Step over there, get some steam, possibly jump over to Japan. I know a lot of wrestlers, they go to Japan, they get a big name for themselves. That kind of that's what they used to do anyway. They'll jump over there and, get some stuff rolling in Japan. But that's what she needs to do. Take the momentum that she had, which, like I said, TNA dropped the ball big time. But go to NWA, get a good following, work on your craft a little bit, and then possibly go AEW. Would I like to see her back over in WWE or something, or just on the main roster? I think she would be great against people like Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss and stuff. I think that would be a great matchup. But who knows?
Well, by the same token, too, Ace, why don't you look at the idea of, again, having her wrestle against the likes of a Mercedes Moné, have her wrestle against the likes of a Tekla or a Persephone, or even assuming she comes back, I know it's going to be a while, what would ever happen if we got to see Jody Threat and Toni Storm?
That'd be a good one. I didn't.
Again, there are so many avenues. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, since TNA didn't do anything with her, that she's not going to be able." Mm-hmm. But let's call it what it is. Jody Threat is going to be successful wherever she winds up.
Oh yeah.
But it's just the idea of which one's going to be the best fit for her. All we can say is time will tell. And like I said, speaking of time will tell, we're going to be joined here in a little more than 30 minutes by the one, the only Pitt Freeman in hour number 2. If you have questions for Pitt, make it a point to share them in the chat so we can go ahead and ask him when he's on the program here in a little over 30 minutes here. And Ace, I'm going to say right now, this is surprising with it being SummerSlam weekend and all those things that are going on right now. I got to tell you, there's a lot of wrestling information that's being passed out here. Let's go ahead and see where we're going to go with the randomizer. It's been doing pretty good tonight. Let's see what's up with our next question.
There's one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it says Ric Flair was just gifted an exact copy of the Rolex he lost a year ago. How long before he pawns it off? I don't know who put this question in here, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think Ric Flair has gotten very, I don't want to say I don't, but I guess would be a little more sentimental. I got to see the whole video in its entirety, and I think he was very shocked that somebody would take the time to actually have that recreated for him. I mean, again, it was one of those, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, that was 18 years ago. You can imagine that much. 18 years.
Yeah, and it's wild. I'm mixed on this one. As growing up and even now, Ric Flair will always be the greatest. That was my all-time favorite wrestler. Have I always agreed with how he handled retirement and how he's handled things since? And not necessarily. I mean, I got to meet him, which he's awesome, even in person. I got to meet him. That was one of my all-time, highlights of just life, period, was meeting the great Ric Flair. He's a great guy. I know he hit a time frame, and a lot of people, they relate this to, let's be honest, the man he's money hungry, but he's very irresponsible. Ric Flair has a hard time of trying to separate the persona in real life. And I know a lot of people say, no, well, that is him in real life. That's who he is. That's what he does. He is Ric Flair. He lives that lifestyle. Yeah, but look where that lifestyle has gotten you. That lifestyle has gotten you to where you've had to pawn off a lot of stuff that was majorly important to the wrestling world. The original world heavyweight title that he debuted with, he pawned that off or sold it, supposedly. His boots and stuff. I mean, anything that he could possibly sell to get money, he done it, which to each his own. I'm not judging. When you need money, you need money. But had he managed life better and had he done better with the opportunities he was given as the man, Ric Flair himself, there's absolutely no excuse why he should have ever pawned off anything. And I know it sounds like a joke about the whole question, whether or not he's going to pawn it off. But with the history of Ric Flair and what he's handled, like how he's handled like other wrestling memorabilia, anything else he's given, hit and miss. And it's going to be a question of whether or not he understands at this point in his life, he has to eventually stop being, I guess, Ric Flair, if you want to say it that way. It's time to settle down. You've already done what you needed to do. You've already lived that lifestyle. Now it's time to be the old man, sit back, go to these conventions, collect your money, and quit trying to go out to all these clubs. Because every time you see him in these videos, every time you see him online, he's at another bar getting drunk. He's booted out of this place because they had an altercation with him where he smashed and trying to just in embarrassing moments. And then he turns around, gets himself in legal trouble. And what does he have to do? He has to pawn off everything to try to cover that and cover his bills. If he handles it right, I see that this can be like a turning point. Hey, you're gifted something that you lost. This is something that's very valuable. This is something that could be very historic. Now it's time to settle down and just enjoy life instead of trying to be Ric Flair. I guess that's the only way I can phrase it.
Ace, one thing I got to look at, though, is the idea of where, and again, this is kind of a weird way to look at it, but when you look at Ric Flair, when was the first peak of several in his career? It was in the late 70s and early 80s. And it was the idea of where when he's still traveling in the territory days, and it was the idea of where he's in Texas for 3 days or 4 days. He comes up to St. Louis for a night. Then he may wind up in Indianapolis or KC for a day. Then he's got to get on a plane and go to Japan for 4 or 5 days, and he's in New Zealand for a couple days, and then he may be in Australia. Then he comes back to the East Coast, and he goes to Canada, he goes to Mexico, he goes to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Ric Flair has had that lifestyle for so long, and I mean, you got to admit, he was one of those, as I said in interviews, if Ric Flair had $500, he'd spend $7.
Yeah.
But and again, he had been that way for so long. I mean, that's like when we were talking about how when he was in the airplane crash and he completely rechanged his persona and repackaged himself to be the nature boy, Ric Flair.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're living that lifestyle and that's what people perceive you as, you get to a point where you feel as though you don't want to let people down. You want to be that 35-year-old nature boy who's going out there. He'll go out there, he'll wrestle his hour match, he'll close the bar, he'll sleep for a couple hours, then he'll get on, or he'll get out wherever he needs to go, hits the gym, maybe go out and catch some rays, and then boom, he's right back out in the ring and doing it again. And I mean, again, I agree with you. Is it time for him to really be able to sit back and enjoy the spoils of his time in the ring? Yes. But same token, too, his lifestyle, what has it done? 5 wives. And again, he's also got to look at it from a perspective of he doesn't necessarily sit back because he goes back and he watches Charlotte in the ring and sees all what she's accomplishing. And I mean, again, it's another situation where I think it's one of those where it's hard for it's just like when you're in a lot of in a lot of situations, it's hard in a lot of cases to say no to something that you genuinely care about. And that's the case. I mean, Ric Flair just cannot say no to professional wrestling.
Exactly. Or just being Ric Flair. He just can't say no to being Ric Flair. And I believe there was a time frame where, and I've seen interviews, I've watched it, where Ric Flair actually became the persona. He lived that persona. And I agree. I think he's done it for so long that, it's hard for him not to. I would like to see him healthy. I would like to see him stay for a long time. God forbid he's almost the very last, of that time frame that's even still around. And maybe he'll stick around for a very, very long time. But is it time to give up that lifestyle and not be in a position to where you have to pawn it off? Absolutely. I believe that he needs to really take that into consideration. Not look at this as, hey, I got something now to where if I need money, this is a couple of $1 million.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you go back and you look at like with the Most Wanted Treasures and how they were looking at getting the butterfly robe back.
Yeah.
And looking at what it would take to get something like that back. I mean, again, Ric Flair was one of those where, as he said, he'd have 15 robes at $7,000 to $10,000 a pop minimum. And now, I mean, again, those are pieces of history. And being a historian that I am, I mean, again, for those that didn't make it, the point, check out the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony while you can on the Wrestle Talk Podcast Facebook account. It's only going to be up a few more days. We had an opportunity to take a look at all of the historical artifacts and to see those things and have those things available. It's like I think Stephanie McMahon said and Triple H has said, like 5% of the true history of this industry is available. The other 95%, who knows where it is?
Exactly.
And that's something you got to look at. And also, real quick here, we're talking about legends in the industry. We're talking about Ric Flair. I do know here in just a few minutes, we were talking about, I know AJ brought it up a little bit ago, we're hopefully going to be able to take a second and look at the accomplishments. And again, Ric Flair did a lot. 16-time World Heavyweight Champion, traveled the world hundreds of times, competed against everybody that you could possibly imagine in the wrestling industry. We're going to take a look here in a few minutes, and I don't know, I know you've been communicating with the production team. Did we get a chance to get that graphic up, or are they still working on it backstage?
I believe they're still working on it.
Okay.
For me to have to try to do it, I would have to swap screens, and I think it was kicking me off or trying to kick me off when I was doing it. So I was trying to figure out how to do that and not get kicked off here.
All right. Well, like I said, we're gonna bring that up here in just a couple minutes. But you know what? And I know we're talking about too about the FWWC and talking about their Summerstone and that maybe that'll let us have it take care of. Are we to that point in the show where we could talk about Summerstone, or do we need to?
Yeah, definitely. Being a part of it, that was a huge deal. That was going on. I think my 4th, maybe 5th one involved with the FWWC. I love every minute of it, and for us, it is a huge event. Unfortunately, I lost. I do have the results of that. So, all right, we'll pull these up. And our first result in our Warriors Heart Championship battle, you had Mr. Gabriel Arson is still your FWWC Warriors Heart Champion in a great battle against Hardcore Hoss. If y'all hadn't had a chance to go check out the page, go check it out. Look, review everything. Like I said, guys, it was awesome. I mean, that whole program, everything leading into it was just absolutely epic. And I think that one was something that was worth going down in the books. And as we have shown, Miss Susie Hoss is going on a huge record. Now, these horses, there's something about them. And I hate to give them credit, guys. I really do. But Miss Susie Hoss is still the international champion. Now, her brother eventually lost the hardcore title, which, I mean, I can't say I wasn't happy about that, but he was the longest reigning hardcore champion. Now, Miss Susie Hoss is still the international champion and is longest reigning international champion. So congratulations to her. We have new tag team champions. Brothers in Arms, for the second time, has defeated the Hoss Mafia. Congratulations to the FWWC Tag Team Champions, Brothers in Arms, guys. Maybe y'all can keep them a little longer until me and Gabe decide we're going to come after them. All right. Yeah, I hate this one. Congratulations. Oh, no, actually, this one here is a great one. Guys, the new FWWC World Heavyweight Champion, El Lucha de KC. Now, guys, if you're talking about a Chad Gable moment, for us in the FWWC, this is it. I got to give this man flowers. Lucha has been one of the most persistent, one of the most dedicated, the most loyal people that has ever been in the FWWC. And this man is absolutely amazing. He is one of the kindest people you can meet. Talking to him, he's very helpful. Anytime that people come in, needing help, needing advice, needing any way to build up their character and do something amazing here in this company, Lucha's got it. And for him to step up, for him to finally capture the FWWC World Heavyweight title, huge congratulations to this man. Very well deserved. All right, so, and still your FWWC Hardcore Champion. Guys, in all honesty, yes, I lost this match. I have no hard feelings. When this man has tied ass probably a million times within the past 5-6 years since we have been here, and I've beaten him every single time. He finally got me, y'all. He finally got me. And he is still your FWWC Hardcore Champion. It was a very hard fought battle. Very well deserved, even though I still don't like him. I respect him. So, Sick, congratulations. You got your first win on me, and you're still the champion. Now, moving on to the very last match. Now, this man here, we all recognize him. Mr. Nightmare Jones, congratulations. He is your #1 contender for any title here in the FWWC. Whatever he chooses to go after, he is the #1 contender. It's almost like a Money in the Bank for anything you want to go for. Nightmare Jones, congratulations with your win. And I'm actually curious as to what he's fixing to go for. I know he's actually held the majority of the titles before. So, I mean, it wouldn't be nothing new for him. And I know he's a hell of a contender. So, hey, who knows? Might see another champion here soon. And guys, that is the FWWC news. I know right this minute, usually after a pay-per-view, we kind of tend to take a little bit of a break, not necessarily a break, but we've had a lot of loss within the family, a lot of the stuff going on, amongst the group. So our guys are kind of having to sit back, regroup, and we'll be back probably, maybe 2 weeks with some more news and some more events coming up. But, hey, congratulations to all these guys. Very well-earned wins, and looking forward to seeing what y'all do here in the future with those.
And Ace, like I said, it's one of those where SummerSlam is one of the big events for the FWWC. And again, we're going to be moving right along here because before you know it, you're going to be talking about Survivor Series, you're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble, and ultimately you're going to be looking at a little thing called Universe Mania down the road. I mean, again, as crazy as it sounds, we're already in the summer months. We're getting ready to hit into the fall season. And before you know it, Universe Mania may be back on the horizon, and who knows how that's all going to play itself out. Speaking of which, now that we've had the opportunity to take care of things here on the program, let's go ahead here and throw up another High Spots question. I say we're going to be joined here in just a few minutes by Pitt Freeman, but let's go ahead and hit another High Spots question while we're at it.
All right. Hit that random.
All right, our question here at SummerSlam, LA Knight won his match and is now the next potential challenger to Roman Reigns. Is this his last chance in the WWE? I'm going to tell you right now, LA Knight has all the tools to be a champion at the top of the mountain in the WWE. But a lot of people give him so much grief because of the idea of where, oh, he's just taken away from The Rock. He's taken from Stone Cold. He's taken from all these people. The amount of time he spent in the industry should be enough of a reputation to give him that opportunity to get the respect. And I'm going to tell you, I'm very much looking forward to LA Knight and Roman Reigns down the road. To me, it's one of those where now it's time for Roman Reigns. Now that everything's done with Seth Rollins for the time being, maybe it's time that we finally give LA Knight that chance. And I'm not talking like Sami Zayn, who holds the title for 9 days. I'm not going to go that route. It's the idea where where LA Knight needs to be given that opportunity. And if he doesn't, I think that it's going to be one of those where things have passed him by. It's almost like a 5-year down the road look at a Chad Gable. Is the idea of LA Knight when he first came to the WWE, everybody thought that he was going to be right up there at that top level. And right now he hasn't been able to hit that top level yet. And I think he's running out of time. Ace, your thoughts?
I believe, in all honesty, he's not a newcomer to the game, and that's what's bad about it. He's one of those. Once again, he's up in age. He's been in the business for a long time. He may not have necessarily been in the. Oh, that popped up there.
What in the world going on with our screen?
Somebody playing behind the deal, but I don't really. I lost my train of thought. They kept popping up. I guess Susie's kind of playing with us here. So. When it comes to LA Knight, here's the deal. He's older. He's been in the business for a long time, even though he had recently been in WWE, and that's what people they fail to realize. Just because he's just now coming into the WWE within recent years, his career has suspended for quite a while. This man's, pushing 40s. He don't have much longer in his career. I mean, let's be honest. When you get on up in your 40s, it's time to wind it down. I believe if they don't go ahead and pull the trigger now, they're just not going to. And I think that is literally his last shot. Now, the thing is he going to be like that Mick Foley, where he finally gets it, holds it for a little bit, and then loses it? Whatever, that's fine. But my problem when it comes to, like you said, the whole Sami Zayn, I didn't think he needed to win that to start with. I think he won that just to pop the crowd real quick. Woohoo, wow, now it's over with. You disgraced the title. He shouldn't have won, whatever. LA Knight, I believe, really needs a legitimate run. And if they're going to do it, they need to do it now. They don't need to wait, because if they wait, they're just not going to. And then by the time it's said and done, you kind of wasted his career. I mean, he's going to be like, Kurt Hennig and all those guys that, yeah, you had a great run, but you never got the big prize. So I don't know. Do I want to see that happen to him? No. But at the same time, what fans have to realize, and all of us, we're fans, not everybody, even if we want them to, needs the big title. Not everybody needs that to define their career. And if you look at the matches he's had, if you look at the fact that he is still in the main event, the main picture, the title shots, almost every single pay-per-view recently since he's been here, that alone says a lot about his character. It says a lot about his career and what the actual company thinks of him. They don't necessarily need to put the title on him just to make sure he's great. Kurt Hennig never won the world title, but he was one of the greatest ever. So it depends on how people look at it. Unfortunately, fans these days are not like we were. We look at Kurt Hennig because even though he never won the world title, we didn't think about that. We didn't know. Matter of fact, we never paid no mind to it. We probably didn't even know that until it was brought up later on and somebody else brought it up. Hey, Kurt Hennig never won the world title. All these guys that, even Dusty Rhodes never won the WWE title. But that did not define it. It didn't take away from their career. And if fans would change their outlook, I believe he's still going to go down in the Hall of Fame. I still believe that he's going to have a great career, even if they don't put the title on him. But if they're going to do it, they need to do it now.
I can agree with you on that 100%, Ace. All right, so we've got enough time. We're going to be joined here in about 15 to 20 minutes by Pitt Freeman. Let's go ahead here real quick, Ace, and let's throw one more question up here before we get to our next discussion. Let's throw one more high spots question up here, and hopefully our screen will cooperate.
Maybe. There we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Owens makes his return at SummerSlam and is now the #1 contender for CM Punk's championship. Is he the right choice? And I'm going to tell you right now, my view is simple, and it's going to be an unpopular one. The answer is no. And here's why. I think right now, as it stands, based on what's there, I think somewhere down the road, it's the time for where somebody new really needs to be the person in the front of both brands. I mean, we've gotten a good amount with Cody. We've gotten a good amount with CM Punk. We've gotten more than enough out of Roman Reigns. I think it's time, if we're going to see anything, I think it's the idea we see LA Knight kind of leading the charge on Raw and a complete different avenue. And let's see Obafemi move to SmackDown to challenge for CM Punk. So actually, vice versa when it comes to championship. But again, we see LA Knight and Obafemi. And again, props to Kevin Owens. He was out almost 18 months. A lot of people, if you listen to his interview, said that he was there were times when they didn't think he was going to come back. But when it comes down to it, it's a credit for it. And again, I saw a meme and I couldn't help but kind of chuckle a little bit. It's like he tells everybody in that post-match interview, "Oh, I'm supposed to watch out and take things carefully." And what was it, like 3 minutes in, he's doing dives to the outside.
Yeah,
I mean that's not necessarily taking it safe when it comes to that. Ace, I'm going to throw it over to you, but I want to go ahead when you're done. I want to add one other thing that really kind of stood out to me when it comes to the whole Kevin Owens situation. Your thoughts? Is Kevin Owens the right guy to be the new #1 contender?
You could be a hobo behind the BP station, and it would be the right guy to beat CM Punk. I can't stand CM Punk. I don't care who takes the title off of him. I don't think they ever should have put it on him. I believe that is the most selfish thing, and we all know why. I don't care what WWE says. We all know that CM Punk is the reason why they put that on him, because he's backstage whining, boo-hooing, wanting to get his way. It's in his contract because he's some little diva. Anyway, we're not getting on that. That's a whole different story. Do I believe that they made the right choice putting him against CM Punk? Absolutely not. I believe that him and Roman Reigns would have made a better story because they have this unfinished business right before he got injured. They had a lot going on. Kevin Owens, just like with LA Knight, just like with a lot of people, had this thing going where he got screwed out. He had him pinned, like so many people at the time did. He should have been the champ several times when it comes to Roman Reigns. I believe that they should have pushed that issue. Him coming back to kind of settle the score with Roman Reigns absolutely made more sense. Him coming back and just being tossed up against CM Punk of all people, I don't get it. I don't see it. I just don't really see that. Even the chemistry there, I don't really see where that match is really going to go nowhere. I just don't.
Well, one thing I want to throw out here, and I'm going to kind of completely take us on a different tangent here for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Did you listen to his interview in the post show? I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan back when he was Kevin Steen and the wars he had with El Generico and Ring of Honor are stuff of legend. But for him to take time out of his promo, his time on the microphone to acknowledge Rebel, that was beyond awesome to me.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea that where people are acknowledging, even though there's so many different promotions in the world, and taking time out of it to mention somebody from a different promotion who is dealing with things in their life outside of the ring, and the way he presented it was nothing short of was outstanding. And again, big props to Kevin Owens for taking the time to do that. Now, at this point, like I said, we're going to be joined here in a few minutes by Pitt Freeman. Again, you saw the title of episode 549, Pitbull Unleashed, featuring Pitt Freeman. We're going to talk with him in just a few minutes. But you know something, Ace? Before we get ready to wrap up our #1 here, there's two things we need to do. First thing we need to do is we need to do something we haven't done. I know I haven't done it in a good long while, and I got something on my mind. Let's go ahead and do the Wrestle Talk Podcast Shoot and Shout segment, because I got something on my mind that's really just aggravating me to know, and I need to get it out. So let's go ahead and hit the music for the Shoot and Shout segment, because I need to talk.
It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. Everything is fun, everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet's to stay away, motherfucker. It's just one of those days. It's all about the he says, she says bullshit. I think you better quit letting that slip, or you'll be leaving with a fat lip. It's all about the he says, she says bullshit. You better quit talking that shit. It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain leaves with a blood.
All right. Well, welcome to the Shoot and Shout segment here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm going to tell you right now, I thank you for going ahead and letting that go a little bit because it gave me a few seconds to kind of decompress. I'm going to go out here real quick and I'm going to talk about something here, and it bothers me. You know, in 2026, there's a lot of things that people need on a day-to-day basis. There are a lot of things that we need to do in order to be able to live our lives and be able to do so in a way that not only takes care of ourselves, takes care of our family, takes care of our belongings, takes care of everything that we need as human beings to be able to exist on this planet. I have had some headaches in the last couple days. There are some things that are going on around my area, and things they consider to be essential services have gotten to a point that they are just completely outrageous in pricing. There are things like, I mean, again, you talk about how things like when we were growing up, what was a loaf of bread was what, $1 if you were pushing it?
Yeah, $1.25 or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a 2 liter of soda was like 79 cents.
Yeah.
You were looking at things like
25-cent, canned drinks, like
yeah. And again, a prime example of some things. I've had to do some pricing this week, and some of the things that are for safety, not any benefit, for safety of a family and a community. And there are prices now when we were having to look around at like $10, $12, $15,000 for something that you have absolutely really nothing to do with. I mean, that was just something that just bothered me for the last few days, is that simple things that should be able to be taken care of, and they think that everything has to be plated in gold. And I just don't get it. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can do, but it's just prices on everything have been going so sky high. It's just driving me up a wall. And hopefully we can kind of get this taken care of sooner rather than later before I stress out to no end. Ace, I'm going to throw things back over to you here because I know you got stuff on your mind as well. But like I said, it's just the idea of prices today are just going up and up and up. When are they going to stop? We don't know.
I gotta agree, and honestly, mine is very similar to that. I'd had this on my mind because if y'all know, if y'all don't know already, I had some major damage to my back recently. I had been going in and out to doctors and stuff. $400 just for me to walk in the door, for these people to say, "Oh, we're going to set you up an appointment to come next week to see if we're going to do any kind of MRIs, if we're going to, check your back. We're going to dope you up on a bunch of medicine and see if that works." So I had to pay $400 just to go see them, just for them to talk to me, and then turn around and have to pay another $400 for me to come next week just to see if you're going to hook me up with an appointment. The medicine alone is a bunch of nonsense. And this is what gets me. People, if you could try to heal naturally, use natural herbs, whatever you could do to try to numb the pain, do what you got to do without having to get doped up on medicine, do it. When it comes to taking care of your body, please take care of your body, because God forbid if you get injured or cut your finger and you have to go to a doctor for anything, even a cold now these days, you're going to pay about $400 or $500 up front just for them to slap you on the wrist and say, come back in a couple of weeks. I think it's ridiculous. It is almost impossible to live in modern society. And I'm really to the point where I'm fixing to just pack up, head back up to the mountains, head to the forest, live off grid, and say the hell with society altogether and be done with it. But anyway, that's my shooting shout.
Well, Ace, I'm going to tell you, you took mine and just kind of just ramped it up a little bit. But again, we wouldn't expect anything less here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Now, real quick here before we go, and again, we're going to have Pitt Freeman joining us in a few minutes. We had the opportunity here. We talked about it at the top of the show. We had a couple guests, a couple of our viewers bring it up earlier.
Yeah.
As we were made aware, literally minutes before we went live tonight, about the passing of, a man who basically lived and breathed the professional wrestling industry, that being the legendary Dory Funk Jr. And we want to go ahead, before we get too much farther along here, we want to go ahead and throw up this graphic. And I'm going to go ahead here, Ace, if you would kind of be so kind to throw the graphic up here. It should be backstage now.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I'm hoping so.
There we go.
All right. We see what's here as relates to the graphic. I mean, you can sit here. The first thing that really kind of stands out with Dory Funk Jr.'s career, 61 years involved in professional wrestling.
Oh, good God.
And a lot of people say, oh, well, he was a trainer. He did this, he did that. No. If I went back and looked, I believe his last match was actually in 2024. I mean, that's just, unreal. And if you look at all of the accomplishments, promotions like the NWA, like WWC in Puerto Rico, like All Japan, like Stampede Wrestling. Here's a man who, in his career, not only received the PWI Match of the Year twice, but he also received Tokyo Sports Match of the Year as well. Again, the number of Hall of Fames he's in, pretty much reads, every major Hall of Fame that you could possibly imagine is here. And we don't even begin to talk about what he did with the Funkin' Conservatory. And as they say, the Funkin' Dojo. And there are countless professional wrestlers who are still wrestling today who sat under that metaphorical learning tree of Dory Funk Jr. And again, the best way I can look at it to summarize is this. Number one, as of today, he is a member of the only brother tandem to have held the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm going to say, simply put, when you talk about men who gave everything they could for this industry that we all love so much, that being professional wrestling, Dory Funk Jr. was that guy. And Ace, before we move on here real quick, if you can go ahead and throw yourself back here on the screen for just a minute. I know that you were kind of surprised as this was brought up. What are your thoughts about the passing of Dory Funk Jr.?
It never stops being a shock. These guys, they get older. He was old even when I was a kid. Let's be honest, but it's the legacy they leave behind. You talk about wrestling. You talk about, look at the Hall of Fame resume this man has. He's in every Hall of Fame you can think of. His family, the Funk family, bled wrestling. And I believe it's a huge loss to the industry. I believe it's a huge loss to just wrestling, period. And never had a chance to meet him. We come close, was always around some of the same areas, never had a chance to meet him. So I can't tell you how he was in person, but I've heard so many good things. The guys I work with that had a chance to talk to him, got a chance to work with him, said that he was just absolutely, he had that grandpa figure where he was very attentive to detail, very comforting when it comes to, hey, he was stern, but during the times he would work with guys, it was like he I don't know how to explain that. The best way is like he had that grandpa feel. And I know a lot of people that I know had met him said the same thing. So huge loss, huge resume. It's kind of hard to top that. Like I said, good God, this man was in every Hall of Fame you can think of. So,
well, like I said, we had a right as broadcast journalists and fans of professional wrestling. It was almost our duty to bring this up here tonight on the program. Again, Dory Funk passing away this morning. Real quick here, we're going to go ahead in just a few moments. We're going to put the graphic back up, and we're going to toll the bell 10 times in honor of the legacy to professional wrestling that is Dory Funk Jr. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to hour number 2 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And I mean, we've been all over the place tonight, Ace. We talked about SummerSlam. We talked about the legacy of professional wrestling with the likes of Dory Funk Jr., Ric Flair, among others. We talked about the future of professional wrestling. Before we have our guest come on the program here in just a couple minutes, I got to ask you, and again, it's not a high spots question. We got to throw it out there. For the 2 nights overall, and again, this being one of the big 4, as they say, how many super kicks on the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast super kick meter, how many super kicks, 1 to 5, would you give SummerSlam 2026?
Night 1, I give it maybe a 3. Night 2, got to give it about a 4.5. I'm not going to say it's some 5-star deal or no 5-kick deal. I would say it about a 4, about a 4.5. Night 1 could have needed a lot of work. It really did. It felt rushed. It felt very just out of place. You know, night 2 seemed to work a lot better. The matches were better. The fans were into it. It just had that big feel to it. So night 2 was way better. In total, altogether, I give it about a 4.5. That's with both nights, you know, together. About a 4.5.
Ooh. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Ace, I'm not going to be so nice. I'm going to tell you right now, to me, if you don't have Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, you almost don't have a night 1. I would give, and this is going to be strange, night 1, I give about, I'll give them 2.5 super kicks. And that's being generous because of what Obafemi and Brock Lesnar brought to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Night 2, I'm going to be a little more generous with it. I'm going to give it a good, solid 4 super kicks. There were a few things that could have been done to make the professional wrestling event a little bit better. But, I mean, again, it's kind of become the calling card for the WWE. Night 1 just kind of goes, eh. And night 2 is the one that delivers. And, again, I'm going to tell you, if anybody could outshine what I said earlier on about what Chad Gable has done in 2026 for the WWE, Rollins and Reigns delivered it as a part of night 2. I think that Gable and Penta, Chelsea Green winning the interim women's championship, Danhausen winning the human monies on a pole match. Hey, he's now, I believe, from what I understand correct, is the number 2 merchandise seller in all of WWE right now.
He's doing good. He brings in money. I may not like his character, but he's bringing in the money. There ain't no denying that. The man's making it. He's making a profit.
So he's bringing in the human monies?
I guess so. Human monies.
Hey, you got to admit though.
I'm not going to waste none of my human monies on him, but he's bringing in monies.
Hey, I got to tell you right now, when it comes down to it, Danhausen definitely delivered a very entertaining matchup. And again, we got the mini Danhausens too, so we are good to go on that. Now, I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, our guest is backstage. Am I correct with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead here. I know a lot of our viewers have been looking forward to this interview. Our guest tonight is a man who has a quite the story to tell when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. Many people would be known as calling him the big dog of professional wrestling. We're going to take an opportunity here in just a few minutes to talk about the backstory, the training, everything it takes to bring this man to the world of professional wrestling, and talk about not only what it took to get into professional wrestling, but also his accomplishments and all of the things that he has done to make professional wrestling what it is today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our esteemed honor and privilege to welcome tonight's guest on episode 549 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Pitbull, Pitt Freeman, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. There he is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pitt, welcome to joining us here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Now,
is the camera angle correct, or do I need to do sideways?
we're totally good for right now. It's not a problem at all. Now,
Okay.
I want to level something here with you. And this is something that is kind of unique. We're actually going to look at. We just talked right before you came on the program, unfortunately, and again, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the interview, but we were talking just a few minutes ago about the passing of Dory Funk Jr. Can you share with us, in your opinion, what Dory Funk meant to the world of professional wrestling, in your opinion?
Oh man, the one word that can come to my mind is an absolute pioneer. I mean, the Funks in general. It's unfortunate because I'm not too familiar with him. I wish I could give more, but I understand just based on the social media impact that has taken place from WWE, AEW, TNA superstars, and the company as a whole, like sharing moments, memories of him. I know he definitely left a pretty solid legacy, and all I can think of, like, an absolute pioneer. Much respect to him and his family. It's always a sad day, when you have, someone like that made such an impact in our industry pass away. And, at some point, yes, like he has fans, and he was a professional wrestler, but he was also a brother, a son, a father, an uncle, like a family member to a lot of people. But yeah, hats off to the man. I pray for his family. I hope, everyone gets the proper closure they get for him and his passing. And I really hope that there's a good spike in the library vault of all the wrestling companies to watch back on his matches, because the Funks are they're someone to watch for sure.
Well, something too, and thank you for sharing that. That wasn't something that we had talked about before we went on the air. Again, you don't know those kinds of things are coming. But I do want to go ahead and now take it the complete six degrees of Kevin Bacon here for just a minute. Going back and doing my research, I noticed that you had the opportunity to train with Merrick Brave at the Black and Brave Academy. And I just wanted to share with you that 400 plus episodes ago, and again, maybe this is the history nerd coming out me. Episode 143, one of the key people in your career, Merrick Brave, was actually on the Wrestle Talk podcast. So to have somebody all these episodes later that actually is here and talk about the experience inside of the Black and Brave Academy, this is one of the things I was really looking forward to. Before we get too much further along, and I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to my colleague. What when you were growing up, what did you have that drew you to professional wrestling? Everybody has their own story, but what drew you to professional wrestling?
Okay, in my opinion, I have the best / most epic, life-changing, altering moment that made me gravitate to wrestling. All right, and I have a picture of it, and it's fantastic. So, growing up, my stepfather at the time was a massive Attitude Era fan, along with my uncle, and they would watch Raw every Monday night. They would tune in to SmackDown as well. But what got me into it was we took a family trip to, I don't recall the location in Florida, but we went to Florida and we went to an Outback Steakhouse of all places. And we just got back from watching Jurassic Park 3. At this time, I'm 6 years old. We're sitting down in a booth at the restaurant, and my stepdad, I just see his eyes light up, and he's like, "Dion, do you see who's sitting over there?" And at the time, I'm little, so I can't. He picks me up and looks over, and sitting in a booth was Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. And at first, I recognized him from Spider-Man because I was a big Spider-Man fan. So I was like, "That's Buzzsaw." But then he was like, no, that's Macho Man. You know, Macho Man. I was like, "Oh, yes. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's Macho Man. Ooh, yeah, okay." So my stepdad grabbed my hand. He didn't have his food yet. So my stepdad, luckily, he knew the cue of when it was appropriate to approach someone, and it was before they got their meal. But he had his drink. He had a few drinks, I'm pretty sure. He walked me over there, introduced us. Macho Man had that deep voice because, like, what you saw on TV, that was him. That was honestly him. That's how he talked. It's wild to think about, and it startled me as a kid for a second. But I just remember him being super polite, super nice, shook my hand, and Miss Elizabeth, because I don't think they were together at the time. I think they were just honestly having a meal together. Because I don't think they were together at that time. Surely that had been like early WCW-ish era, because I was 6, around 2001. So we go back to our seat, whatever. The waitress comes to our table and says, "Hey, sorry to interrupt, but the gentleman that you were just speaking with would like to know if your son would like to join them for dinner." And my stepdad immediately looked at me. My mom looked at me. I didn't know what to do. And he was like, "You should go over there." So my mom walked me over there, sat with me for a minute to get me comfortable. And Macho Man picked me up, put me on his lap, sat me down, and he was cutting a steak. And he's just talking to me about, "Oh, so tell me why you like wrestling. You know what? Who are some of your favorites?" And this and that. And of course, Triple H was my guy at that time. The Rock, Hurricane. So we're talking about that. And then eventually Miss Elizabeth, I got to sit on her lap. She gave me a kiss on the cheek and everything. And I got to have dinner at 6 years old with Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. And we left that night, and I was just starstruck. I couldn't believe it. I have the picture to this day. But that was probably the for sure moment when I was like, I want to look like that. I want to do that. Like, what I see him do on TV, that's real. Like, that man was, because I was 6, so I didn't, seeing that is a actual person that does this for a living, immediately that's what I want to do. And then it just kicked off my wrestling path from there.
Well, I got to tell you, Pitt, that is probably, like you said, the most unique story that I've ever heard in the Wrestle Talk podcast. And like I said, I would say probably one with me was the closest, was having an opportunity to meet Harley Race in a very similar situation. But to actually have a meal with Randy Savage and Elizabeth, that's one of those where, I mean, not too many people get that opportunity. And again, that's definitely, you're going to start a path to professional wrestling. That's a way to go. Now, I want to talk about your path into pro wrestling here. And again, we've had Merrick Brave from the Black and the Brave Academy here on the program in the past. And I'll level with you. I've had the opportunity to drive up to Waterloo, Iowa to go to the Tragos Hall of Fame. And the crew that I was with was several of the former hosts here of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And we made it a point to drive by. We went out of our way to make it a point to go by the Black and Brave Academy, just because of that, hey, we had Merrick on the show. We've been here. Want to see what this is like. Now, for those that don't know, what motivated you to choose the Black and Brave Academy? Because there's not a whole lot in Davenport, Iowa. There's not a whole lot when it comes to that part of the country. And again, there are countless professional wrestling schools. What convinced you to train at the Black and Brave Academy?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. You would think, like, oh, where would be a good place to train? How about I go train for, 12 plus weeks in Florida or California, have a beach and this and that. But Iowa, like, okay. So what kicked that off? Honestly, I just one night I really was like, how can I do this professional wrestling thing? What do I need to do? And I watch YouTube videos of people saying, like, you need to get proper training. Like, you got to have the proper training. Like, that's just the deal. So I was like, okay, like, I've heard, CM Punk. I watched his documentary, how he was a self-taught, self-trained backyarder, but then he went to go get trained, and kind of the same with, Seth Rollins and a couple other guys. I mean, we all done it. We've all built a trampoline, wrestled on it, then kind of makeshift it to a wrestling ring maybe, and then, but I knew for a fact I have to get proper training. So after watching videos, I just spammed a bunch of wrestling promotions, and honestly, I just spammed some here in Indiana. That's where I'm from. But then I saw there's two big ones that just were starting to get off the ground a little bit and get some buzz, and that was Black and Brave and Nightmare Factory. So I filled both out, not thinking I'm going to hear back from either or, because there's probably a long list, there's a line, whatever. Because like an application, you have to submit everything: your height, your weight, videos of you working out, like training, so they can see if you're in physical shape, conditioning to do this, pursue this. Why do you want to do it? How long have you want to do it? What do you know about it? Even like a little essay. And I just think it honestly came full circle, because I was at Survivor Series when the Shield debuted. I was also at the Field House when Colby Seth Rollins turned on the Shield. So when I got that email from Black and Brave, I got an email back from Nightmare Factory too, but I got one from Black and Brave, and just the vibes. Like I looked at the school, the like dark grungy like punk feel of it was very Tyler Black, and I was just like, at the time too, I think Cody, what was it? He was just starting up AEW, I believe, because he was still the NWA champion at that time and stuff and everything. And I know his brother Rhodes at Rhodes Academy had one too in Texas. But I was just thinking, I was like, man, okay, maybe this is my sign to go to Black and Brave, because I literally witnessed the man debut and break up the Shield, and it looks like it's my kind of people, my kind of vibes. And I was sitting there like, why not go to a school that a current WWE superstar is like presently active? Like, other people have schools too, and not knocking anyone by any means, but like, like they're either retired or they've done their thing. But the man is still active. The man is still on the roster. The man is still traveling. Like, I could pick his brain on what is it, are they actually exactly looking for? What is it he is looking for? What is it, So that's how that got started. So I filled out the application. I got accepted. I was supposed to start September of 2023, but then Merrick messaged me and said, hey, we got a spot open for May. I know it's a couple months earlier, but we want you as soon as we can. If you're ready to go, let's go. So I was like, okay, like I gotta go. I'm not gonna tell them no, I prefer to whatever. So I got the kickoff earlier than expected, and yeah, showed up to Davenport, Iowa. It is what it is. It is what it is. The school's great. No, not knocking on Davenport. It's similar to Indiana, so in a way it felt like home. So I wasn't like it wasn't too different. It's Midwest, you know what I mean? So you get what you get. But
One thing we talk about here too is the idea of the Black and Brave Academy. I've had the opportunity to communicate with them on several occasions, and like you said, they make no bones about it. You're going to go in there and you're going to learn what professional wrestling is from the ground up. And like you said, the opportunity to have somebody like a Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, Merrick Brave. I remember back when I was much more active in the wrestling industry, and when it was the Black and the Brave I believe at one point they were, I believe, the NWA Midwest Tag Team Champions. And the idea of having those two men to pick their brains, I mean, again, right there, what more can you ask for in the world of professional wrestling?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to my broadcast colleague, Ace, because I know we were talking backstage about prepared for this interview, and I know he's got several questions that he'd like to ask you. And again, we have Pitt Freeman here on the program, episode 549. Ace, I'm going to turn things over to you.
All right, first and foremost, man, I'm absolutely jealous of the fact that you got to sit down with Macho Man. Okay, that is, I'm jealous of that. I
don't think I'll ever, like, in my life, I think that was my peak. I really don't think anything would top that. Like,
I don't blame you.
If I had a little child of my own, I don't know.
Well, so with me, and he was the one that got away. I never had a chance to meet him, and we was always in the same places. They had a meet and greet back when it was still WCW, and they was coming through. They had a meet and greet. I got to meet Flair, Hogan, Sting, and I'm talking about Beach Boy Sting. I'm not talking about the Crow Sting. I'm talking about the Beach Boy. He actually picked me up. I had a picture for years and years where I was being held by Sting. Even had the rat tail as a kid, you know. So Macho Man had literally just left the building. They had somewhere else they needed to go. They was getting prepped for a match, and he had showed up, done his thing, and left. And every time we had a chance to meet up with these guys, I got to meet everybody except for him. And I'm like, man, you're sitting there talking about you got to eat with him. I'm like, that is so not fair. But my question is, we heard how you got into it. So what actually helped you create your persona? You know, how much of yourself have you put into it? Were you influenced? Now that you've mentioned Macho Man, were you influenced by Macho Man? Because I know she kind of got the little thing going with the beard and all. So how much of that was influenced by him, and how much of it was just, you know, picking your brain? What made you come up with who you are as far as in the ring compared to who you are outside the ring?
So honestly, when I went to Black and Brave, because you know I always felt like I had like a idea, like a character and stuff, and it wasn't like the Pitt shtick or anything. That all came down because of Seth. So, you know, he was. So real quick, it's anyone listening that wants to pursue professional wrestling, by all means, go for it. Go to a proper school. Find a school that fits you. Absolutely attempt and go after Black and Brave. We'd love to have you. They're amazing coaches, amazing graduates, amazing students. Everyone's like a family. We help each other out by all means. However, keep in mind, Seth is a very busy man, and it just depends. Like for me, example, I was class 27 with my group, and we got very lucky with the handful amount of times he was actually physically in the gym with us, watching, you know, like he'll make sure at every class he's there for promo days, he's there for film study, and he tries his best to be there for graduation matches. But I mean, the man's got a WWE schedule. He's on ESPN. He's got a hectic schedule. The class before me saw him twice in person. The class after me, I saw him maybe 4 times or so. My class got lucky because at the time when I was at Black and Brave in 2023, he just won the rebirth of the World Heavyweight title in Saudi. And at the time, Becky Lynch was still coming off an injury. So her and their daughter were living in Davenport. So Seth obviously would come as often as he could to assist with her work out with her, and they did it in the gym. So that's just luck of the draw. I got very lucky with that. So I just want to let that be clear that he was there a little more than a handful of times, and I was very lucky with that. But I'm just saying he's not there every day. He's not there whatever, and I respect the grind he has real quick, because when he's not there and he's busy, he does take the time out of his day to Zoom call us, and they put it on the TV screen in the gym, and he will watch and he'll answer questions, and he'll make time for us. And then he's got to say, hey, I got to dip, guys. We'll go over this. Any more questions? I'm going to try to call in Wednesday. If I can't call in Wednesday, I'll be in there physically Tuesday for any questions. Da, 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 da. That's how it is. So the fact that he does that while still on the road and everything is crazy. But he was there in person for matches and stuff. And I think at the time they do a thing in the school. So it's like they'll randomly choose who you face, and then they'll randomly choose who's heel, who's face, and they'll either say, all right, you guys got 10 minutes, talk it over and figure it out, or they just say call it on the fly. Well, at the time, I was picked to be a heel, and I was wrestling one of my other graduate friends, Keegan Dimitrovic from Canada, and we had a decent match, but Seth just kept looking at me, and he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, not trying to be, sound this way, but I don't see you as a heel. He's like, you have these bright blue eyes, and you just have a personality, a vibe of you. And he's like, in my opinion, I see a stocky, stout dude that I just want to see kick someone's ass, like tear apart. He's like, I can't explain it. He's like, you're a pit bull, like you're like a dog that can be very intimidating from the jump, but is very likable. So I was like, okay. So after he said that, I was like, okay, well, Merritt came up to me and was like, hey, it's hard to be face in this business. So if you can naturally be a face, maybe try to run with it. But yeah, you're pretty stout, whatever. And I was like, okay, and then after that, some of my classmates would just call me Pitt, after he called me Pitbull. And I was like, that's got like a ring to it. Like, it's almost similar to like Taz. You know what I mean? That's a big influence. So my big influences real quick are Taz, Samoa Joe, Brody King, Kenta Kobashi, and Kevin Owens. Those are my guys. So when he addressed that, I was like, okay. And then that's how Pitt came along. Like, literally, the man himself was like, you just look like a pit bull, and I want to see that dog just tear someone to shreds in the ring. Like, I would pay money to, if I saw a slimy heel and you in the ring, I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to see this guy tear him up. So that's how that came about with the whole persona. And then I just kind of went with like a more grungy route with it, because like growing up, I grew up pretty rough. Like, we're talking not just living paycheck to paycheck, but pretty much like, hey, all right, what are we doing? Should we pay the electric bill, or are we paying the car? Like, which one do we want to lose type deal? And I mean, and I just like I feel like if you have like a decent character, like fans can like gravitate to more. And also like it works with a lot of people. Like when I go to, you would think it'd be a funny shit because I bark when I come out. So I'm thinking, oh, people are gonna make fun of me. Hey, all the boys, all the dogs out there, they bark with me, and then the kids love it. The kids love it. They're the little yelps of the barks and stuff. So there's something there, which is kind of funny because Braun Breaker does that too. And I literally approached him at Backlash when I was doing extra work. I said, hey, brother, real quick, I got to tell you this. I do the bark, and so many people think I'm doing a Braun Breaker ripoff or I'm a Braun Breaker Team U. And he was like, I promise you I'm not that. And he just started laughing. He's like, dude, where do you think I got that from? I got that from my dad and uncle. Like, use it. And I was like, okay. So if I got the same approval from both my trainer and him, then let's ball. And then honestly, I just realized I wear bandanas now. So with the bandana and the beard, it gives Macho Man vibes. So that's a weird full circle moment that you just brought up to me, that I have a beard and bandana. So all right, I'll run with it.
And it works. It really does. Because I mean, it's something that you have that baby face feature. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I was expecting more of and not saying this in the wrong way. When you first come on, I was expecting that harder, more deep, kind of gruff sound. You know, like that would go heel. Yeah, like it would sound like more like a heel. But now, like when you're talking, the way you act, your persona, everything, you're like, oh yeah, definitely baby face, man. Like I couldn't see you being a heel whatsoever, but I do see you having that macho man vibe, you know. And honestly, from here on out, I would really roll with that too. I would try to do just, you know. Anyway, that's just me.
Okay.
But yeah. So up to this point, though, you had mentioned some of the highlights of who you've met and stuff like that. As far as in the ring. What is one of your biggest moments so far up to this point? What is a moment that has stood out as far as a match, an opponent, just an incident that happened in the ring? What is something that you would say, hey, you know what, if you're going to look back on this, go check this out. This is a proud moment of mine, or just anything. What's that for you at this point?
I would honestly say funny enough, my most recent match I just had with Mike Noble for the ICW United States title, because I took a year off wrestling. I had like a pretty down moment in my life, from like a failed engagement to not having a car to finding my own place to being 280 pounds. So I took a whole year off of wrestling because I just felt like I was done with it, honestly. But then I realized as I got in better shape, because I went from 280, now I'm 185. And then I got a brand new 2023 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport, so I can drive anywhere. So if anyone wants to book me, I'll get there. And I got my own place. I'm on my feet now and everything. So I'm like, okay, what am I doing? So after all that, I got in the ring and it just felt like this is what I was missing. Okay, this is me. This makes me happy. This is what motivates me to just get up in the mornings. And the fact that this promotion brought me in and was like, hey, we see the effort and work you've put in from past to now. We see how much more serious you're taking it. We appreciate it. You help us with whatever. We're going to put you in a match with our United States champion, and we're going to let you guys run it. And they did. That was also my longest match. Normally I've done like 8 to maybe 15-minute matches. We went over 20, and I felt like I could go for another 10. So that told me a lot. Like, okay, I can do this. Like I have plenty of gas in the tank. And we were hitting on all cylinders because we were co-main right before Gangrel in his triple threat match. So we were like, let's give the crowd something to get hyped about, but also let's be the workhorse match. And we tore it down. It was so fun. It was good. And I went back and watched that because like when I first debuted, I was a husky boy and moved a little slow and a little wonky. But this one, it just was like I was in flow state. So I would say that, and the fact that I won the United States title too as the ICW champion now. So that's pretty cool. It's always cool when booker, a promotion, and the boys in the locker room feel like you're the next man up. So that makes me realize I got to work even harder now to show as to why I have been chosen to have this opportunity.
Oh yeah. And you speaking of the grind and the stuff like that, and you even mentioned that earlier, even with you referred to Seth Rollins and all. It's something that I like to ask, where guest comes on and stuff like that. Because a lot of people, when they're getting into wrestling and they have this idea that I want to be a wrestler, I want to do this, they think it's an easy road. They believe it's just, hey, I jump in the ring, I make a star of myself. They don't realize what kind of work it puts into it. I personally didn't. I went home for weeks I was bruised from butt bone to head. And so explaining to viewers, explaining to young people that want to get into it, what kind of dedication does it take to put into it? I mean, whether it goes from your family life to traveling, your work schedule, just in general, what does it take from your perspective to make it in the business?
Ah, man, it's definitely different for everyone. Well, for one, you gotta be a little twisted in the head because you're throwing your body, you're slamming your body, and it's your body's not used to that. So you definitely want to make sure you're healthy and everything. And you really, I would honestly say, really think about it because um, someone told me uh, something that stuck with me, and Nick Nemeth told me, and it was because I was seeking advice, and he just said the one thing you gotta know is you can give wrestling all the love in the world, but it may just not love you back
Oh,
as
absolutely.
much.
Yep.
You'll get bits and pieces, but don't expect just this. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I would say go to a proper school for sure. And that's the thing about Black and Brave. Like, you don't have to have the mindset of I want to be a wrestler because I want to work for World Wrestling Entertainment or All Elite Wrestling. I want to be the world champion. I want to be the top guy. I want to be the whatever. That's fantastic. That's everyone has dreamed to walk down the ramp at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, but if you've ever watched professional wrestling, I don't care what company you work for. I don't care whatever. The first thing you thought about was, man, imagine my theme music playing walking down for WrestleMania.
Exactly.
That's a great dream. Stick with it. Follow those dreams 100%. But also, like, maybe you just want to learn the craft. That's fine too. As long as you show up and know when to lock in, be serious, because you got to respect the sport. Because you have some wrestlers in our industry that maybe are just weekend warriors where they have full-time gigs, but as a fun hobby, they like to wrestle on the weekends. That's fine. They still did as much paying dues. They're still getting slammed. They're still putting up and tearing down the ring. Like, they're driving the miles too. But also don't get distraught if you go in thinking you're going to be this person and maybe you struggle heavily on running the ropes or simple things or the big moves, or don't go in there thinking you're going to do a 450 splash. I can't do a 450 splash. Heck, I can barely do a swanton at times, but I still attempt it. It's not the best, I've been told. Thanks, coach. But still, like, just have fun with it. And that's what I liked about Black and Brave, because Merrick would make it known to all of us, like, we all love professional wrestling. There's something for everyone in this amazing industry we're in. You may not be a wrestler, but you can be a ref. You can be a sound guy. You can be a producer. You could be a booker. You can give back to wrestling any way, shape, or form. It's a full machine that everyone operates and works on. So I would say if you want to go in being a pro wrestler, absolutely live those dreams, chase it, attempt it. But don't get distraught if you're like, man, I had this idea in my head, the way it was going, and it's not for me. That's okay, but you attempted it. Now you know. Now you never have to sit back and go, oh man, what if I would have went training? What if I would have chased it? You don't. You got your answer, but doesn't mean you can stop watching the product or being involved in it. Find a different route. Find a different avenue. There's some people that go get trained at Black and Brave and they just say, it's not for me, and they become referees because they just love the sport. They love being involved. They're still part of the storylines. They're still determining the matches. They're still hearing the crowd in the ring. So I definitely would say that, because I went in and it's rough. It still is rough. Like, you're gonna be broke. I'm just being honest. Like, it's the term hot dog and a handshake. There's a lot of hot dogs. maybe not as many handshakes, but and maybe not as many hot dogs. They may run out. I don't know. I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah.
There's been times where I've literally shown up to promotions because I've bugged them, and they're like, "Hey, we're not going to book it because we can't pay you. I just want the reps.
Oh yeah.
I just want to be in the ring. And if you get the opportunity, seize it. Give it your all, give it your best, because then maybe that's where they go, okay, we'll bring you back next time. Just stuff like that, And it is a long road, but I was told by both Merrick and Seth, like, just enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, enjoy the ups and downs. Like,
Absolutely.
they talk about how they had so many downs, and they look back and laugh at it. Like, oh my gosh, you know the crap we were doing at our age? Like, what in the world were we thinking? Sure, could I have done it different? Yeah, but now looking back, would I want to? Because look where we're at now. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool stuff like that. Like, cool stories, fun stories, For me, like, even me, like, I spent all this money to go live in Davenport to train. I did it. I hit the ground running my first year. I took a break for a year, like I just said earlier. And what lit a fire in my butt was, honestly, one day I was at work, and my phone was blowing up. And I'm like, man, why is my phone like blowing up? What's going on? And I kept seeing people that I graduated with and people that graduated before me and even after me posting pictures of John Cena at Black and Brave. And I was like, well, wait, what? So John Cena came to the school, did a seminar, critiqued matches, gave one-on-one constellation and interviews face to face, and took pictures with the graduates. And I missed it because I was at work doing what? Something I didn't like doing. And I just stopped. That right there, I was like, what am I doing? And literally for 3 days straight, it just got in my head so bad to where my girlfriend now was like, hey, we got to talk. Like, you haven't been happy lately. Talk to me. And I did. I just told her, like, I'm frustrated. I'm in the best shape of my life. I just missed the most awesome opportunity possibly to talk with John Cena at a school that I graduated, that I could have went to, but didn't because I was working. And all the respect to her in the world, she sat me down. She said, look, I think you need to do this wrestling thing. I think you should take 2 years, 3 years to really lock in and be serious about it and pursue it. You owe yourself that. You've worked your whole life. You paid bills. Like, we're good. We're financially okay. You got your own new car now and everything. You're back on your feet. Like, just do it. And if you don't ever get signed or whatever, go back to the job that you were at or find a different job. So that right there, she gave me the green light. I spoke with my parents. I spoke with all my best friends. I rallied them to be my little team. And after everyone said, sure, go for it, I walked into work the next day. I said, hey, how's it going? I quit, by the way. And they're like, okay, why? And I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler. And my manager looked at me, and one of the managers was like, okay, and walked away. And Chris, the one that hired me, like, just smiled and said, yeah, it's about time. And I was like, all right, I'll take that. I'll take that. So, so now I'm pursuing it full time. The pay's not the best, but I'm doing something I love and I'm getting cool opportunities, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then that's important, having that support, and that's something that, you really don't see a lot of. You don't see the families really rallying behind it. And I think that makes for a very enjoyable and very long career when you have that support.
Yeah. So it's rough. I can't tell you how many weddings I've missed, birthdays. I was in Canada wrestling during my grandparents' Thanksgiving. Like, you're going to miss a lot of cool stuff involving friends and family, but if you're really passionate about it, you really love it, and this is something you want to do.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing of why you may love wrestling a lot, but it may not love you back, like True. These guys who are signed, they're on TV every week, they're traveling, they're thousands of miles from their families, like but yeah, I slept in my car. I slept in airports. Like, I don't know. But in a weird way, like, love that. Like I'm doing it.
Oh yeah.
Like at the end of this, whatever happens, whether I get signed, whether I don't, whether it crumbles and burns in my face, I can live as I get older knowing like, man, I can't believe I was ballsy and risky enough to just go for it.
Oh yeah.
Like 6-year-old me is geeking out right now that I'm actually doing this full time. Like, so I owe it to him. I definitely owe it to young Dion. So.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Well, you know something, Pitt. I want to look at something, and I appreciate the fact for someone with your amount of time in the wrestling industry, being able to look at it from such a wide perspective. I mean, there are so many people. I remember when I was a little 18-year-old kid, 18, 19 years old, and I remember being on an event and having Harley race in the locker room, and I was panicked out, and he's like, dude, you're going to hurt tomorrow, but right now you got 100, 150 people out there that paid tickets to see you inside that ring. And again, when you talk about seeing people who may not be able, and again, it may not be they just lose the interest or they get hurt or whatever. I go back and I look at it, and your perspective and my perspective are very similar. I mean, I've had the opportunity to see people like Mischief, Daisy Hayes, Delirious, Matt Seidel, Dingo, Warhorse, Jake Parnell, Dirty Jake Durden, Dingo, among others that have gone and accomplished those things. And to be able, when you can sit back and say, oh, well, you weren't on WWE. I'm like, yeah, but when you can say you've been, and those road trips a lot of times are the best things when you sit back and a lot cutting up and carrying on just like your old friends. And again, it's kind of that rite of passage in the world of professional wrestling, just being able to be around like-minded individuals and to be able to enjoy the sport of professional wrestling. I mean, that's a huge thing. And I'll tell you right now, from all the stuff I've seen on you, and I'm just going to level with you. There's a gentleman here in the St. Louis area, and I know Ace and I have talked about it on a couple of occasions. You strike me that, and I'm going to try everything I humanly possible can to see if we can make this happen. There's a gentleman whose style, from what I've seen you wrestle, that I think would be a perfect match. And I'm just going to call it out there. Anybody in the St. Louis area that wants to take care of this, I'm gonna put my stamp endorsement right now here in the St. Louis area. Pitt Freeman taking on Jalen Strong, a man who's out here, again, a very accomplished amateur wrestler, but can go out there and wrestle any style. You want to fly, he'll fly. You want to mat wrestle, he can mat wrestle. And I think it's one of those where the two styles, as well as the two mentalities of professional wrestling, would be a golden opportunity. Now, I do want to throw one other question out here. You talked about, I mean, and again, no pun intended with this, the heavy hitters that influenced you in your career. Mm-hmm. If there was any one person in your time that you would spend inside the squared circle that you would want to compete against, that you think would be on as many levels as possible your ideal opponent, who would it be and why?
And I could pick anybody?
Anybody you want, living or dead. They be on the national scene, or they be on the where you feel would be the best matchup for you, Pitt Freeman.
You know what? I'm gonna make this real interesting. Honestly, because I hope it's not too far-fetched. And if it could happen, man, what a moment in time. Out of all the people, sure, I could pick the Beast Brock Lesnar, I could pick Kurt Angle, I could pick Eddie Guerrero, I could pick Macho Man. You know what? I know exactly who I'd want in that circumstance. Let's do teacher versus the student.
Ooh.
I would want Seth Rollins. I would want to be tested. I think that is the one that could get into my head mentally, knows me physically, knows me spiritually. He knows how to break me. His CrossFit stuff were heinous, but to share a ring with him, oh man, like he's at the top of his game too. And he even said in a promo to Roman that kind of choked me up was he doesn't have much more time to do this. So if I could before he hung it up, man, I would. Gosh, what a moment that would be to face him. That'd be my number one for sure. Would be Seth, hands down.
You know, I could see him taking on Chad Gable. That would be what I want to see. Like, I mean, just the look, the style, everything I've seen so far, just looking back on some of your stuff, man, Chad Gable, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I feel like the guys I'm picking are gonna blow me up in like 3 minutes in the match. So I really got to pace it here. Chad Gable would be good too. Yeah. I would say Seth for sure. That's signed. But something that I think could honestly happen, like it could legitimately happen. I like the opponent you suggested. I'm willing to. Hey, if it can happen, I would love to make that happen.
Oh
Absolutely.
man, that'd be awesome.
Pitt,
and like I said, that's
WrestleMania next year.
Yeah. A couple people that I could think of that are like not signed yet though, or maybe even previously signed. Cross is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I think a real fun one for me, in my opinion, would be Zilla Fatu.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
That could be a very interesting matchup. Like I said, one that kind of sticks in my head, and you're going to find this kind of completely in the right field. How about Pitt Freeman? Pitt Freeman taking on old school, not 1995, but old school Bob Backlund.
Ooh.
Brothers is.
I mean, again.
I definitely am walking out. Even if I would win, I'd walk out losing with a black eye and busted lip and busted nose and limbs twisted. So Bob Backlund, that would be wild.
Oh, one thing I could see, I see Pitt is the idea of you both have that mentality to be able to go out into the ring and think on your feet, to adapt as you go. And that's one of those, I mean, again, being around pro wrestling as long as I've been, a lot of the greats have just had that natural, innate ability to just pick up. And like you said, talk about going on the fly. And Jim Harris, Executive Director of the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, checking in here this evening on the program. He's another one himself, Herb Simmons, Jim Yunt from Dynamo Pro Wrestling, the folks down at WLW. That's one of the things a lot of people, they can't just pick up and go, and that's a skill that a lot of wrestlers don't have. And from what I've seen, you're just like, here, give me the piece of canvas, and I'm not meaning the one on the mat. Give me a piece of canvas and let me show you my work. And I think that's one of those that when it comes down to see Freeman inside the ring, you're not only not going to be disappointed, but you're going to be begging to see him more and more often in the area. Now, Pitt, I do want to level with you here. We're getting close to the 9 o'clock hour. I mean, we've had you on the program here now for about 45 minutes, and we know you're a very busy man. But one thing I do know from talking with people that know you is that you are fairly knowledgeable when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. Am I correct in that statement that you're fairly knowledgeable?
I'd say fairly, yeah.
He said,
okay.
I don't know. After bumping on my head a couple times, I might have to figure it out.
Well, one of the things that we have here as a part of the Wrestle Talk podcast, which we try to do with our guests each and every episode, is what's called the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast Game Show Challenge. It's a trivia contest where our guests gets the opportunity, if they choose to do so, to go one-on-one against one of the hosts in a wrestling trivia challenge. Would you be up to the challenge this evening?
Hey, it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. So let's do it.
All righty. Well, Ace, I'm a level with you too, Pitt. As nice as he's been right now, Ace has talked about this idea that he thinks he can sweep you.
He probably could. He probably could. I'm just being honest right now, but I'm willing to scrap it.
I'm like 1-6 right now. My record sucks.
Hey, you're trying to be optimistic, Ace. That's what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and hit the music for the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast Game Show Challenge.
You know, if I keep losing these.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's. Ace, man, I was in the zone, man. Now I gotta start all over again. I had the announcer voice thing going. I mean, again, I was ready to roll, and now you broke my stride, man. Let me try this again. Are you done, Ace? Before I get going, are you done? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's edition of the world-famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls, and our competitors this evening are the Wrestle Talk Podcast Ace and the PITBULL, Pitt Freeman. In a few moments, gentlemen, I will be giving you information about 3 professional wrestling personalities that all will have a common theme. When you think you know the answer to the question, go ahead and shout out your answer. The first one to get 2 out of 3 falls correct will win tonight's game show challenge. In honor of our, I shouldn't say in honor, I should say in remembrance of our fallen compatriot, Dory Funk Jr., tonight's contest will be based on NWA Hall of Famers.
Ooh.
I will give you information about 3 individuals who have been enshrined in the National Wrestling Alliance Hall of Fame. When you think you know the answer, go ahead and shout it out. Remember, the first 2 out of 3 falls will win tonight's contest. Pitt, are you ready?
As ever.
All right, Ace. Okay, Ace, are you ready?
I'm good.
All righty, here we go. Question number 1. This individual joined the NWA Hall of Fame in 2009. Many people remember him for his storied runs in the NWA, competing against the likes of Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA, and his long-standing tag team association with AA Arn Anderson. Name him.
Oli?
No.
No. Tully Blanchard?
That is correct. Tully Blanchard going into the NWA Hall of Fame in 2009. It is 1 fall to nothing. Ace is in the lead. It is now time for our second fall. Pitt, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Ace, are you ready?
I'm good.
All righty, here we go. This NWA Hall of Famer was also enshrined in the year 2009. He spent time in countless promotions, including the WWF and WCW. Most people would remember him for being Roddy Piper's tag team partner at WrestleMania 1. Name him.
Paul Orndorff?
Paul Orndorff is correct.
Okay.
Pitt comes through with the second fall, so it's 1 fall apiece. And just like it would be back in the day, it's time for that all-indecisive third fall. Ace, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Pitt, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All righty, here we go with the third and final fall. This individual joined the NWA Hall of Fame in 2009. A second-generation professional wrestling personality. He was responsible, along with his son, for starting TNA Wrestling. Name him.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
No.
No. Dang it.
Once
Sorry?
again, this second-generation wrestler was responsible with helping Jeff Jarrett create TNA Wrestling.
It's right here. I know it.
That helped Jarrett?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
It's right here on the top of my head too. It ain't
I know.
Cody Rhodes.
I want to say it's his dad, but I can't think of his dad's name, or am I wrong?
I can't give you that.
Come on. I just saw Dark Side of the Ring, and I can't think of his name.
I know, same thing. I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my god, I know it. Geez, man. Because you had Jerry.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead for the idea because I know both of you are going to wind up seeing your brains explode. The correct answer was Jerry Jarrett.
Jerry Jarrett.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's okay because we managed to keep the backup questions in the tumbler here. So we do have an alternate third fall question. This individual, like the other three people that I have talked about this evening, was a member of the NWA Hall of Fame class of 2009. Known for his time in the ring and in movies, he is most well known for his time in WCW, wrestling the likes of Cactus Jack, time in the WWF, and being known as the uncle of Alberto Del Rio. Name this individual, also known as the Man of 1,000 Masks.
Oh my god, I got this right off the top of my head. Oh shoot. Dang it.
I thought I had it for a second. I was gonna say Von Vader for a second.
It is right. It ain't La Parka. It's dang it, it's right here on the top of my dang head. The Man of 1,000 Masks. No, it's not Ultimo Dragon, is it?
No.
No, it's not. It's
Right thinking, but wrong wrestler.
wrong wrestler. I'm trying to think because God, I know this man's name.
He was in movies?
Yeah, he was, and I know who's talking. I got the face in my head, but I can't think of his dang name. Jeez, man, this sucks.
To give you another clue, he has the same initials.
Same initials.
Same initials. He was often known for having said initial on the front of his mask.
Oh man. It's not Ultimate Dragon. I'm drawing a blank on this one. I can't. I'm at a blank.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
The correct answer: who is Mil Mascaras?
Mil Mascaras. See, I probably wouldn't have guessed that one.
I never would have got that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that one.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go back into the vault. We're going to go ahead and get another question from the Tumblr. This individual is a member of the NWA Hall of Fame. He holds the distinction of being one of two brothers to hold the NWA World Championship. We have spoken of his brother tonight. Name this NWA Hall of Famer.
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk is correct.
Okay, there you go.
At this point, Ace manages to win 2 falls to 1. And again, I'm going to tell you, those were some pretty hard questions. We got to tell the production team that we need to make sure that we have in the future questions that are a little more guest friendly, I guess would be the best way to put it. But like I said, Ace, let's go ahead real quick because both of you were such great sports in our Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge tonight. Let's go ahead and give both of our guests a great big round of applause for all of their hard work during the Game Show Challenge. And of course, now the production team does not realize that that's time when you hit the little button on the soundboard and make sure that they get the round of applause. But that's okay. The production team's sleeping on the job as they always do.
As always.
But that's okay. Now, there we go. A little more like it. We got a round of applause. Now, one last question here before we go ahead and let you go here, Pitt. And this is one of those kind of unique question. I know you've taken some time. You've got your mindset about being in professional wrestling. You've got the drive. You've got the determination. My question to you is this. When your career is done, many, many years down the road, what would you say that people would say about you, the Pitbull Pitt Freeman?
When the career is said and done. That's crazy to think about. Well, I hope they didn't think I sucked. Honestly, I get people obviously go into this thinking, you know, like they want to get signed, they want to headline WrestleMania, they want to make it a career, which obviously, yeah, I want all the above. But I think at the end of my career, if I can not only have family members and friends, but also random strangers that watch me wrestle or fans, I would really hope that at the end of it, they would say that I was meant to do that. That's the biggest one I'd want. I would be fine and content with knowing that every person that watched me wrestle or saw me said, like, not only did you look the part, but you were the part. So I think that'd mean a whole lot to me, knowing, like, you were right when you said you were meant to be a wrestler. You were right. I think that would just be that's all I need.
And you know something that I don't think that could be very any more to the point, very truthful. Do you have that idea of knowing you made the right choice of stepping inside that hollowed squared circle? And I think right now the sky is the limit for you, ladies and gentlemen. Pitt Freeman, for those that want to follow you, I know you said you're in the greater Indiana area, but for those that want to follow you on social media or follow you at upcoming events, how would they be able to follow you?
Yeah, so I have Facebook now, believe it or not, as Pitt Freeman. I also have an Instagram that's at Dion, Deion. Yes, like primetime Deion Sanders. That's who I was named after. At Dion Freeman as well on Instagram. So those are two places that you can definitely look at for when I post matches, upcoming events, etc. And also you can tune in to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown from time to time. You might see me in the background, or even AEW or Collision. Might see me have a match. Might see me in the background as well. Or fingers crossed, because I just submitted an application for NWA Into the Fire for their reality wrestling TV series they're about to start up. So maybe I get into that. I don't know. But yeah, that's where all you can find me and everything.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've had the opportunity here tonight on episode 549 to be joined by the Pitbull, Pitt Freeman. Pitt, I have to say now, and again, if not, I'm going to get in trouble from my boss. As we always know, there's always got to be somebody above you in the hierarchy of professional wrestling. On behalf of the Wrestle Talk podcast and all of our great viewers, we would officially welcome you into the Wrestle Talk podcast family. And we very much enjoyed our time with you tonight and look forward to seeing you real soon. And as I said earlier on, if I can have anything to do with it, I'm going to do my best to see Pitt Freeman make a journey out of the friendly confines of the state of Indiana and hopefully be able to make his way to the greater St. Louis area sooner rather than later to compete against some of the best talent that St. Louis has to offer. Once again, thank you for your time, Pitt, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Right on. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that the applause is there, ladies and gentlemen, Pitt Freeman here on the Wrestle Talk podcast this evening. Guys, I got to tell you, it was a great show from top to bottom. Ace, any final thoughts before we wrap things up this evening?
No, man, just good luck with everything. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I'm guarantee you, I'll see you at WrestleMania. You're going to be walking down that aisle, and you'll be having one of the best matches ever. Looking forward to that one.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. Hopefully.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we sign off here this evening, let's go ahead and we want to thank our great sponsors who not only make the Wrestle Talk podcast go, but they also allow us to bring you great interviews like we had this evening here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Once again, we want to go ahead and thank those great sponsors. And of course, now the technology is not going to cooperate, but that's okay because I remember them off the top of my head. We want to thank RetroZone for all your gaming needs. RetroZone is the place to go. We also have Doomed Outfitters, the Independent St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, Painter's Dream Productions, and of course the FWWC, the world's premier fantasy wrestling group. I'm going to tell you right now, all these great sponsors have helped us for many, many episodes of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And again, without their help, without all of our great viewers of the Wrestle Talk podcast, we wouldn't be going for as long as we've had been, a decade plus. And next episode is going to be episode 550 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. I mean, again, it's one of those where all of our guests, all of the hosts, everybody that's been a part of it is going to be looking forward to our interview in 2 weeks when we celebrate episode 550 here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. That's going to go ahead and wrap us up here for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, for Luke Roberts and for Pitt Freeman and Ace, I want to go ahead and say thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you right back here next week for WDWA Elevation and in 2 weeks for episode 550 of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Take care, everybody.
Still in stream.